What is dance addiction? How does it look like? And how to find out if you are addicted to dance? Well, let's find out. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Zouk Nerds. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about dance addiction. Yes, it is a serious thing, and that can be as a student, that can be a professional, as an organizer. So today, we're going to be talking about that, as well as sharing some insights from our experience and some tips for you to have a more sustainable and happy moment in the dance community. So let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are very excited to be here for another episode. My name is Alisson Sanji, and today we have our co-host, Gui Prada. Hello, Gui.
Hello, people. Happy to be back. Let's talk more.
And Ada Yost. How are you doing, my man?
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me back.
All right, so today we are going to be talking about a rather important and at the same time delicate topic in our dance community, which is dance addiction. Dance addiction, which is something that has to do with the last episode that we were talking about, the dance economics. And we were talking about from the teacher, the professional side, the full-time side. But today we want to talk about the perspective that we see from the dance community, our students, the people that are supporting our dream, the good things, and also the dangerous things that we see happening in the community, such as FOMO and prioritizing dancing over your own development or finances or savings and things as such. So let's talk about it, guys. What are the things that you see or that you hear in the community that kind of raises a little red flag when you hear people talking about?
Well, I have one that always raises a red flag for me. Mostly because, a little bit of what goes on in my mind philosophically when I think about these things. Dancing, especially Brazilian Zouk in a way, is meeting a need that we have, meeting actually several needs that we have as human beings for physical touch, community, for freedom, for leisure. So Brazilian Zouk is coming and filling all these needs, and many partner dances do this as well. The thing is that we have enough cases in our studio, at least in our school, of people that do other dances, and then they decide to dedicate full time to Brazilian Zouk because they found something in Brazilian Zouk that is something that they realized that they were missing in the previous dances. And it's a lot related to the way that the dance goes in terms of how it feels physically. The physical aspect, the physicalities of it, how it feels in their bodies. So we have sometimes people finding Brazilian Zouk and getting so mesmerized by it that they go full on. The red flag for me, Mestre, that comes up is when someone gives me an indication that is either doing everything or doing nothing at all. When they say, I need to stop completely. And then I realize that this person that says I need to stop completely has been going full on. So normally what I tell this person is see if that they can find a middle ground. They don't need to go to all the things. And I said, could you go to just one social every month? Or could go to the social and just stay 40 minutes just to, get a little bit of dancing and come back home. So I encourage them to find some middle balance, because normally when I notice the extremes, that's when I feel the concern.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Gui just said, because we need to consider our physical, mental, and financially burnout on this type of events. And of course, the FOMO part that Alison mentioned before, it's really interesting on this mental aspect of things, because some people that start going full out, they think that we need to be there. We need to do everything so I can get better on this dance, so I can really be good on this, so people want to dance with me more, so people want to be with me more on like friendship aspects, other aspects of life. So I think it's a really interesting snowball effect that plays on, as Gui was saying, on this fulfilling physical touch and words of affirmation and all the love languages possible throughout a dance. What about you, Allison?
Yeah, I mean, adding to what you guys said, one thing that I try to coach people that come to me and I see that they're in that moment, what Gui was saying, maybe spend less time. I think that's really important, because what really makes you better, what really gets you there, is focus time on the things that you need instead of all the time in all the things. You want to get better at that one thing, find the things that you really need that will support that one thing that you get. Maybe going to the socials every single night is not going to improve the things that you want to achieve at that moment. Going to all the congresses multiple times a month may not actually be in line with the things that you want to achieve in your dancing in the next 6 to 12 months. So I'll go and sit down with them and ask them the deep questions. What makes you happy in dancing? If you were to give up on dancing, what would you miss the most? When it comes to your dancing technique and mechanics, what are the things that you enjoy the most? And what are the things that you struggle the most? One question that I always start my private lessons with is, what do you think you're doing really good in your dancing? 95% of the times, the students cannot answer that question because they're only focused on what's missing and what's not good and what they're not doing. They're not looking at the things that they enjoy and the things that are good and the things that they are getting praised on. They're only focusing on the things that they don't, or that they don't recognize that are already good. So I think that's very important to understand when it comes to this dance addiction. What really makes you happy? What you are doing right now that already gives you that feeling? And are you spending more time on that? Or are you spending more time on the other things that are maybe not really adding up, but you're doing it because of social pressure? Because you feel like if you don't go to those festivals, people won't know you. If you don't go to those competitions, people are not going to dance with you. If you don't go to every single class and every single workshop, you're not going to be on top of everything and knowing everything. The main focus is to focus on the things that really bring the best out of you as a person and as a dancer.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was remembering my experience as a dance addict, and I became a dance addict when I became a bolsista at Jaime Arocha, mostly because of the ongoing constant learning process that I was going through, and the fact that I was relating with that many people in a way that I don't think I would ever be able to in any other circumstance. People of different backgrounds, walks of life, different ages, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. So everything was very stimulating. So I think that overstimulation that we have when we join a dance community is a powerful driving force. And it keeps driving us a lot. So there's an aspect of learning, getting better, this goal-oriented mindset of I want to get better at the dance that drives the addiction. And there is also the addiction, the part of the addiction that is relating to what you get, the dopamines that you get by being in the dance community, in the dance world. when I normally feel that the dance addiction reaches a point of decline is when sometimes people start questioning their own goals. Like, why am I spending all this much money and time and effort to learn this thing? What is it bringing to me, to my life? So they lose track, like you're saying, Mestre, they lose track of the whys, the why they joined this in the first place. And with what Adair was saying in relation to they wanted to be accepted, I think the dance meets some needs of ours. And as we join in and inside, these other needs also want to be met. And especially the ones related to acceptance, recognition. So we want to be accepted by this new clan, this new tribe. We also be recognized by this new tribe of ours. And the ways that we find to reach this acceptance and recognition sometimes is this heavy investment in our skills, getting better technically in the dance, like Adair was saying. Get more dances, get more things. And I would like to bring here a reflection about the experience that I have of being around people that have been in the social dance community, not in Brazilian Zouk necessarily, for decades, many decades, 30, 40 years, where being in the dance community for them is not anymore about getting better at the dance. They know enough to have fun. So being in the dance community is being in a place or in a circumstance where they'll get to see and enjoy time with people they like and enjoy. It's like going to a family gathering that everybody happens to dance. There's a system, there's an etiquette to it, there's music playing, but there is more of the aspect of getting together and being together than getting better at the dance in the way that used to be in the beginning. So I also think that there are phases about it. And the dance addiction gives place to dancing being a healthy part of your life, in the sense that brings you physical activity, brings you people to be around you, brings you physical touch and flow and all the nice things. I think the experience of teaching abroad maybe make our eyes a little bit skewed or a little bit, foggy in what does dance addiction mean, because the way that we perceive the dance addiction here, outside of Brazil, is very related to getting better. Like, I need to get better. And people put a shit ton of money. They throw money in our faces. Make me better, And then, like what happened in the pandemic, we had people that were investing so much time and money into getting better that during the pandemic, they're like, why the hell am I doing this? And some of them left completely. Yeah? So I think I am still to see a dance addiction that is a dance addiction mostly related to like what the dance brings, and less about I'm addicted to this as a new thing that I can achieve new things and reach new goals and new heights and stuff like that, if that makes any sense.
There's also this feeling when you are at an event, that you are at a festival. I think we mentioned this in one other episode, that people have the feeling that they have to do everything. Be there from 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. and then rinse and repeat. And if not, they're not going to get better. They're not going to get accepted, as we said. And of course, as organizers and teachers also, we want people to be there from 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. But we also need to understand that we have these necessities. For example, Jack and Jill. It's super fun for people. A lot of people enjoy it, but we also do know there's people that just join because of peer pressure / FOMO, that I need to be there on the Jack and Jill to prove myself in some sort of way, or to show myself to other people so other people invite me to dance on the social. So it's a really interesting psychological thing that happens on our dance that, as Gui said, we should always think about the whys, why we're doing this, why we're investing this amount of money, why are we investing this amount of time of our lives, what is going to bring to us in the future, and so on.
For example, something that I normally question people is, why are they going to Brazil? This is a big one, because I see a lot of people going to Brazil because of the addiction, not because they understand why they're going there. Oh my God, I have to go to Brazil. I have to go to Brazil. And then I ask them and they say, well, because, if I go to Brazil, my dance is going to get better. And I'm like, is it? Because to me, I would only recommend somebody to really go to Brazil and spend some time there when they have a good foundation. If I'm learning French, I'm not going to go to spend 2 months or 1 month in France if I'm still doing my beginner's level. I need to get to a place where I can maybe talk to somebody a little bit and understand the conversation and ask questions and have that back and forth to build a conversation to make every day and every minute worth it. So I feel like a lot of the times people, when they spend a ton of money and they go to Brazil, they come back and they think, wow, I loved it, but I could have spent that money locally and learned more with my local teachers before I went there. And I would have taken like a 5x, 10x every week I was there because I already had a stronger foundation and understanding. But due to the addiction or the peer pressure, they just go blow all this money and spend a month or 2 there. I mean, you do you. It's your money, your priorities. But when you think about, I want to become a better dancer, I want to improve my craft, I think there are different ways. Just going through peer pressure, such as Jack and Jill, or going to Brazil, I think people really need to rethink about that.
Yeah. If your goal when you go into Brazil is to experience the culture and being there, feel the air, breathe the air that everybody's breathing, even if you don't know much, you're going to be basically in an observation mode most of the time. And if that reasoning is clear, I think it's a worth thing to do. Again, with the why being like there. I'm going to see how it is. I'm going to experience the culture. I might not know much stuff, but I would just want to breathe the air and see how the people operate there. It might serve as inspiration. Huh? And the addiction part, I don't see an issue with that per se, because when I was addicted, I was doing what Adair was saying. I'll get to the studio around 3 p.m. and I'll leave at midnight all day. But it was one of the best 3 years of my life. I would not change it for anything, because in that moment, it was bringing me something that in memories that to this day, I keep in a very dear place in my heart. And I was enjoying it so much. I think when the enjoyment starts to fade, but you keep doing it, that's the parts that, that's the alert. You're still doing this thing, but you're not feeling the same joy. So you might need to scale back. You might need to take a little bit out, And this, in the end of the day, is something that we talk about always in all conversations we have, is the matter of balance. It's finding that balance. Even when you are in the extreme, or meaning addiction full on, there is joy there. There is fulfillment there. Good to go. And then as things change, as life changes, circumstances change, you adapt. So I think that the people who were hurt by their addiction in one way or the other, it might have been because having a hard time finding a way to adapt, finding a way where the dance could remain in their lives in a healthy way. So then maybe in the future, they go back full on, So that's, I think, is the thing that we can share with people, that when the joy is going away, you don't need to completely take it out of your life.
No, and I agree. And I want to touch something that Alison said also about Brazil, which is something that also brings my curiosity sometimes. There is also that idealization moment that people are thinking, we're going to Brazil because that's where the best dances are. That's where I'm going to get the best dances of my life. And not necessarily is going to be true. People also need to understand that as other people, we Brazilians are humans. So not necessarily that is going to be true. And also, like you go to São Paulo or Rio, for example, as we mentioned, sometimes we have 2 or 3 socials a night on the same city. And then you end up to go to the social that not necessarily the people that you want to dance with are going to be there. So it's an interesting experience that people also need to think about of this idealization. Because we're the home-based country, we have some of the best dancers in the world for sure. It's just a matter of having this on our mind. I need to go to Brazil to get those best dances, which sometimes not necessarily is true. And thinking about what Guy said, again, on the balance side of things, I think it's really important to think, and I think Guy mentioned the best thing that is, if you're losing the joy on it, why we're still doing it, you know? I think that's the question that we need to ask ourselves, not only on this, but on all other aspects of life, right?
Yep. Exactly. Sometimes it's just doing by inertia, and the inertia takes you places and then you find yourself there. It's like my therapist would tell me, you are so far from the edge, from the boundary, from the coast that you don't even see it anymore. You are in the middle of the ocean. Like, how the hell did I get in here? When did I lose track of where land is? I think the dance addicts, they move the dance economy in a way or the other. Like we have from time to time, from like in the course of a couple of years, we have these batches of people that we see everywhere we go. We see the same group of people. It's almost like sometimes they are in the same place. They are in 2 places at the same time, the same weekend somehow. And after 3 years, a new batch comes. So I think that would be super beautiful if we could have consistency, like these batches just keep going and going, because I think the dance economy could also go around in a more sustainable way, and in a way that we are not always and only focusing on attracting these hungry people every time, that we have like a consistent number of people that go in a balanced way to the things, and then we are able to sustain everything a little bit more. And I think that would be, in my mind, the ideal situation for our dance economy. So we can all have work, we can all have enough people to pay the amount of structures that we have that want to work, and all the situation, like this domino effect that we have in our economy.
And something that used to happen already before the pandemic, but it really became more common, was students coming to me after they already danced for so many years and asking me, hey, Alison, I've done this and this and this. I've traveled, I've taken private lessons, I've done intensive courses, I've done it all. But I still feel like there's a lot that I'm not covering in my dancing. So can we please draft a plan or a program of what I should be doing? Because I feel like in the last few years, I was just going with the flow. I was just moving with the current, but I wasn't really being intentional about things. So currently I have 3 students that I'm coaching, of course, through dancing and doing techniques and things like that. But the idea is very much like, okay, so this is what we're going to be focused on for the next 3 months. And I want to make sure that as you plan your socials, your classes, you're being very intentional about what you want to get out of these classes. Don't do all the classes just because they're there and you feel like, oh my God, if I don't, I'm going to miss it. Because your attention and energy is being spread too thin on each one of those, and they're not creating an impact that you want to create in your dance. So instead of doing 8 courses, choose the 3 or the 4 courses that are really going to go in line with the focus and the energy that you want to put in right now to get to the place that you want to be. So understanding this really helps you. And you can ask any of your local teachers, or you can ask us. Well, I'm in this phase, I've done this and this and this, and I enjoy this and I don't enjoy this. But what I don't enjoy, I don't really care about getting better anyway, because that's not something that I want in my dancing regardless. So how can I spend more time and get more back with those things that I enjoy? A lot of the times it's just really understanding that yourself to make sure that in the next event that you book, or the next lesson that you book, or the next course that you book, is really going to make you excited every day that you have to go to. Because we get students going to festivals or going to events and classes or even a private lesson, and they're not excited. And that's not nice. I mean, it's not nice for them. It's not nice for the teacher. It's not nice for the others around. And this is a very dangerous place to be, because you end up giving that energy to somebody, and then other people kind of feel that, and they may not give you the energy that you'd like to receive from them. And then we have a bad experience, basically, because you're already going to a place with bad energy, or to a place where you don't necessarily want to or are excited to be there. And then it just spirals down, because you don't want to go. People feel like you don't want to go. And then every time you go, you feel bad. Other people feel bad. And then when you go to the social, you feel like people don't want to dance with you. But then you're like, oh my God, I'm going to every single class. Why don't people want to dance with me? I go to every single event. Why don't people want to dance with me?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you actually don't fully want to be there, and people can feel it. That's a big thing.
Mm-hmm. It's the inertia, no? I think that's the symptom of the inertia, when people are just like going. I think too, the aspect of getting better. This is one thing that I do in privates as well. I say to people, what are the things that I think that they are doing well already? And I ask, what is their goal with the lesson, and what's their goal with the dance? And most of them say the same thing: I want to get better. And then I ask, what better means to you? How does that translate in practice? What does getting better mean? And a lot of them don't know what to say. They don't have a response to what that getting better is. So then I give some examples. Like for you, for example, getting better can be getting better on how it feels to dance with you. So the comfort of everything, the flow of everything, the ease of motion. The getting better can mean for you learning new techniques, learning more intricate, complex movements, and that you translate that into getting better. The getting better to you can just mean that you're going to be sitting there and someone's going to invite you to dance. So this can be the getting better. So then they like, oh my God, so this is the thing I want. This is the thing I want to get better at. And the way society goes today, I think is frowned upon for you to settle. There is this idea that you have to constantly get better. And I think that's an aspect of inertia too. You are in this, like Adair was saying, it's a psychological thing that you have to constantly be searching to get better. And sometimes this getting better is translated to getting technically better at the dance. Yeah. And I really invite people to find moments to settle in what they know and what they have for a little while. When they think of what is getting better is, or how does it look like? Because a lot of people come to me getting better, meaning I want to have a pleasant social dance experience. I want people to like dance with me, and I like to want to dance with people. So like, okay, so our line of work is going to be this one here. We're going to focus on how things feel like. So I think in the end of the day, the getting better gets lost as well, gets in the inertia, and is translated in a very particular way. And having here is an invitation for you to reflect on what getting better is, so that you might actually realize at some point, you're like, no, I'm chill. I'm good. I'm going to stay here for a little while and enjoy life here. And then as life goes, I might, like Alison was saying, have 3 people that came to you after a while dancing, wanted to know, okay, where can I go from here? Where can I work? So I think that's incredibly healthy for people to find these moments in which they are aware in what to focus on more specifically, so the joy stays alive, and what the dance brings to them, it just keeps bringing.
I think it's important for people to look at their dance journey in a very holistic way, where you're looking after your body health, your mental health, and you're also looking at your development, your journey, and what are the things that you're getting better, instead of giving up on any of them. So I basically burnt out twice in my career, to the point that I quit dancing. I left it. I didn't social. I didn't teach. I didn't travel. I was not a dancer. Full stop. Like, didn't even watch a single dance video for a while. And those things happened right after I spent a lot of time saying yes to everything and not understanding the why, not understanding how that was bringing things back in a positive way to my life. Hard work is something that I love, but I have to be very careful, because I just put too much hard work on anything that I do. So what I really need to do is to make sure that I only say yes to the things that I say yes to myself. So what that means is, when you're saying yes to something, are you saying yes to the thing and to you? Or are you only saying yes to the thing? Because I found that once I learned this very, very simple but powerful technique, I began to say no to 90% of the things. Because I realized that I was saying yes to those 90% of the things just out of inertia, out of pressure, out of thinking that if I say no to something, I'm missing out on an opportunity. But that is something that when I changed my life, my health, my career, my finances, everything doubled, tripled, 10x, because I was only spending my time, my energy, my passion, my hard work, blood, sweat, and tears in the things that were, in turn, giving something back to me. And mostly, it's not financial. Like I said before in previous episodes, 90% of my day is unpaid. I'll work 16 hours a day, and I'm getting paid for 1 or 2 in some of the days, because that's when I'm in front of somebody teaching classes. But I feel more energized nowadays than when I was doing the yes to everything and dancing 10 hours a day. I was dancing 10 hours a day, and I felt less energized and happy and excited than now. Not to say that I don't enjoy dancing that many hours a day, because every now and then I'm going to go to a training or I'm going to do some training and I'll spend all of those hours. But again, I said yes to that thing because that thing was a yes to me. So anytime you're thinking about going to a festival, a class, a private lesson, or a social, think, are you saying yes to the outside and saying yes to yourself? Because if you're only saying yes to the outside, the biggest problem is that you're saying no to yourself. And that's what drives us to burnout. If Guy invites me to go to the park and I say yes because it's Guy, but I'm actually not feeling like a yes, I'm not giving myself 100% in that moment, and I'm not being fair to me or to him. So I need to say yes to me and to Guy for the both of us to have an amazing time. And you can say that about dancing, you can say that about anything pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what you mentioned before, it's what drives this entire conversation, the intentionality of things, right? And how much intention do you actually put on dance? How much intention do you put on things, on your life in general, as Alison was saying? So I think that's the main key point, right? Bringing yourself intentionally to all these things that you want to do and not just coasting, as we said. Gui?
Yeah, it's same. I think the dance addiction is not necessarily a bad thing at all. I just think it's something that happens when we start dancing. There's a big chance that will happen to you when you start dancing. You're gonna get addicted to this stuff strongly. My recommendation is that there has been people in this dance world for a long time. So when you start feeling all these things, you can come to somebody, talk to them, and get some advice, get some perspective. I remember once seeing a spreadsheet of dance expenses of a student, and I was actually mind blown. It was in the 5-digit level of expenses in their budget. And the person was just so impacted by it herself, but you could see the struggle because although it was all that much money, she wanted to continue doing it at the same time that she didn't. So it was the internal dilemma. I want to keep doing this, but look at how much money I'm spending in this thing. If I can take this money, I can literally get a down payment in a house, So if you are thinking about giving your down payment in a house, you might need to cut back a little bit on the dance, but because it's something that you are so into, it's so hard to make that decision because the down payment in a house is something for your future and the dance is something for your present. So it's also this thing that comes into conflict as well. Am I taking care of the now that is bringing me all this love and joy from all these people that I hug and move around to the boom chick chick? Or it's my home, my future home? Eventually this person allocated to the down payment. But I remember talking to her through the struggle of I don't want to do this anymore. Like when I saw a calculation that somebody did to how much each point of Jack and Jill costs when they put together all the expenses around going to a Jack and Jill. And then when this person calculated that each point costs this many thousands, they were like, oh my God, this is insane. But realized, man, I'm addicted to this thing. I'm going to every single one of them. But then after it was put on paper, that it could see. So one thing that I forgot to say about in our previous episodes about our finances is that I track my expenses religiously. So this is something that is helpful for me and I think can be helpful for a lot of people in the dance addiction and maybe in the decision-making process of how much more to dedicate to dance. A very practical, verifiable, objective financial decision based on what are your goals for your life.
Because as Gui was saying, if you think about nowadays with hotel costs and flight costs and food, the economic reality that we're living nowadays, is not hard to get to the 4-digit for every single festival that you go, because you have, as I said, you have your flights, $200 to $500 round trip. Then you have a hotel that is like $100-ish a night. Then you have the event pass, and then you have food, and then you have Ubers and transportation, and then you're in the thousands already, right? $1,000-ish for a festival or for an event. And then if we think about, and we have one event a month is already $12,000 that you're spending in a year just on this. Not taking in consideration local classes, local event, weekenders, etc. And can be crazy, as we talked between us. Our dance calendar also looks ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? There is an event every single week. If it's a weekend, it's a festival. If you look like the European first half of the year calendar, it's insane. It's literally 1 or 2 events every week. If you look at the American calendar on the second half of the year, it's also 1 or 2 events every week.
It's bananas.
So we actually need to be careful and actually maybe put on a spreadsheet and see, like, is this what I want to spend on dance? Maybe it is, and good for you, right? But it's definitely a complicated situation to think about, this dynamic that sometimes, because we buy a pass so much in advance and we buy the flight so much in advance, that we actually don't put on paper on how much is actually taken out of our pockets. For sure.
I just wanted to say one more thing real quick, that when I was an addict, I would spend zero money because I was a bolsista. Not zero money. It was the bus. That was my expense and the foods that I would eat there. But to take the classes, to go for the socials and the events, zero money. I remember when I first spent money to go for an event that included all the things, and I looked at the total, and then I was like, oh my God, people are spending this much money every time they go out? For my personality and the way that I see my money, I could not do it. I'll be like 1 every 2 months, because when I put everything on paper, it was, to my understanding, insane. So I just want to also leave here a token of appreciation to everybody that comes to our events, because, bro, I know it is an investment that you are making. Just wanted to appreciate that deeply, because when I did that investment, it had an impact on my soul. I was like, oh my God, that is indeed a reasonable amount, especially when we consider flying somewhere and staying in a hotel somewhere. The weekenders normally is with the local scene. So normally you see more of the people that are coming from their homes, eating their food. So it's more of a pass. When we think about festival, that we have a lot of people flying in. Oh boy. So here's to everybody. Appreciate you a lot.
Yeah, one quick note also before I pass the ball to Allison to comment on this. When Gui was saying about the spreadsheet, I remember, I don't know if it was a group chat conversation or actually on Zook Nerds, that someone started doing the breakdown of the costs per hour of things on events and congresses, and like, oh, for this congress, you're paying $25.7 per hour of social dancing, and on this event, you're paying $32.50 per hour of social dancing, so we should go to this one. And I'm like, this is getting to an insane level of craziness of finances, but it's a good way to think about it, right? And again, bringing to the intentionality. What is your goal going to that event? What's your goal going to the festival? What do you want to gain out of it, right? Allison.
Hello, I'm here. So when we're talking about all of this, we're talking about finances, but I think another way that we can really contribute to the dance economics is by really sometimes shifting your involvement. For example, throughout the years, I've helped people that were maybe not capable of financially supporting this lifestyle. It's not everybody who can, but they wanted to contribute to the dance community. So if you are in that position, I think one way that you can do is reach out to a community leader or to a teacher and see if things that you're passionate about and things that you really love doing can help the dance community in a way that can also bring back that reward to you. That reward may come as dance classes, or that reward may just come as being part of the tribe and making a difference on the tribe. For example, helping as a DJ, learning how to DJ. there are communities where they don't have local DJs, and maybe you love music and you enjoy working with a computer and you really know how to do these kind of things. So you think, well, dancing for me is not something that I'm fully passionate about or not addicted anymore, but I want to be part of it. I just need to find something else. Then DJ could be an alternative. You could also help the community with events, with socials. And I'm not just talking about socials like that people are dancing, but talking about social gatherings where, dance is not something that you want to do all the time anymore, but you still love the people in the community. So how about you go to the dance chat of your community and ask, hey people, anybody loves bowling? I just found this deal on this website and we can take 10 people to go bowling and it's going to be this much per person. Would you like to go on Sunday? And create other opportunities for you to still be part of the community, even if you're not fully passionate about becoming the greatest and the best dancer, or if you've never been on that mindset. But as well for those people who want to be part of everything, but financially they cannot support that for any reason. Talk to your community leaders. I think every community leader and teacher needs as much help as possible. So we're always happy to find a way to really involve you in a way that is going to bring you that happiness that you once did and that you're not having anymore. That's something that I think it's very important to throw it here on the table, because in the end of the day, we're just here to be part of this tribe. And I always say this, that I wish I didn't have to get paid to teach dancing. It's like, I wish there was, something that would pay my bills and that I could just be out there teaching dance, social dancing with people and sharing that. Because that to me is what brings me the joy. And the more that I can do, the better. So find that way to be involved, regardless of the thousands of dollars in events and finances.
Yeah, going back into the financial things again from the previous episodes, I'm going to share with everybody my 5 to 10-year-old plan, which is to have enough of a safety net that I don't need to teach dance to survive. That anything that comes from the teaching of dance comes as an extra, but I have my survival figured out. And it's like Alisson was saying. So I think that could help us go increase and make everything so much more accessible, I think, more approachable, because we could go to places and teach just to spread the words and spread the joy. Yeah, I agree with this vision so much.
Well, all right. That was a long talk. We got deep a little bit in some moments, but hopefully in a way that is helpful to all of you, because I'll say it for myself, it's helpful for me to actually talk about this, to look inside and to remember, am I still in alignment with the things that I want to achieve? So my recommendation to you guys is to do that. To maybe have a talk to a friend, or maybe even to yourself, and write things down on paper about the things that you are doing, the things that you want to do, and how you're going to spend the next 6 to 12 months in your dance journey. Even if you're not unhappy about it, just because I want to make sure that you don't get to the unhappy moment. So if we can make it sustainable and happy for as long as possible, that will already be worth it. How about you guys? Do you have any recommendation for our listeners?
Yeah, I think all of us here at some point in our lives were hardcore dance addicts for one reason or the other. Right now, I am still a dance addict, but my addiction is now relating to teaching and spreading the word and how to best teach beginners. I'm addicted to it now. I want to see the best ways to do it. So I can safely say that I have kept a healthy relationship with dance this whole time that I've been dancing, mostly because I was able to understand over time the role that dance had in my life, in each moment in my life. So the message that I would give you is a repetition of what we already said. Stay in touch with why you're doing this. Stay in touch with why you want to belong in this tribe. And stay in touch in the ways that you want to be in the tribe. They change over time. They will change over time. So let it change. Let it change. Embrace the change. And lastly, talk to one of us. Talk to those who have been around for a longer period of time. I think Ashley here at District Zouk, she has been for 10 years now, constantly and continuously organizing classes and being on it for all this time. And I think that she will, because there's a strong desire inside of spreading the art, so there is this thing alive. So find yours, talk to those who are experienced, and embrace changes when they come.
And for me, not to be very redundant, short phrase, take care of yourself. That's the most important part of it.
Eat well and sleep.
Well, sleep, talk to everybody around you, share your experiences, and remember to always say yes to yourself first before you say yes to anything. So on that note, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening again. And we'll see you on the next episode. Beijos, abraços, and ciao.